Okay, so now let's talk about the different methods you can use when looking into food sensitivities and what foods are triggering specific symptoms. So the first thing is keeping a food diary. So most nutritionists and dietitians will tell you to do this first. So we'll ask you to keep a food and symptom diary. You track everything you eat, you note when you have symptoms, you note the severity of the symptoms, the timing of the symptoms. And in some cases, we can actually see really strong links. For example, every time you eat tomatoes, you get a reflux reaction, for example, or every time you eat any food containing gluten, you tend to get bloated or you're constipated for the next 2 to 3 days, as was my case. So, sometimes those patterns are really easy to establish and it's very, very clear. However, many people have multiple sensitivities and the symptoms may be triggered within 20 minutes, and for others they might be triggered within 24 hours or 48 hours, and they may last days. So in that case, it can become really, really confusing. So for those people, a food diary is not really going to establish the links. It may point you in the right direction, but it doesn't give you the full picture. Then we have elimination diets. Now, in an elimination diet, you remove most problematic foods. So the most common problematic foods, you remove them, and then after a few weeks you start re-challenging them, which means reintroducing them and watching for symptoms. Now, this works really well for some people, and actually in most hospitals this is still the standard approach. However, the elimination phase, particularly if you're outside of a hospital setting, it's really restrictive. You are following a very limited diet. You can't really live much during that time. Nutritional deficiencies are very, very common, and people find it really, really tough to stay in that phase. So you really want to hope that the challenge phase moves along quite quickly and you're quickly rebuilding your foods. For many people who are reacting to a high number of foods or who are extremely sensitive, the elimination diet is painful. And it also can be quite a lengthy process. So in comes food sensitivity testing. Now, this is where we actually look at food proteins and then look for a immune response that your body may be producing to those specific food proteins. Now, it's not a foolproof, but it is one of the best tests that we have available for this type of reaction. And what we do then is when we've got those results, we have a structured list for a very personalized elimination re-challenge protocol. So now we know the exact 5 or 10 foods that we need to eliminate, the exact foods that we need to re-challenge to determine which food is causing the bloating, what's causing the headaches, what's causing the anxiety. It is such a personalized approach. So that's my choice of test. Like and follow for more.